So guys, please subscribe to the channel and please smash the like button on this video. So guys, in this next news story, a teenager firebombed the home of a mum and daughter after getting caught up in a £2 million drug war between rival gangs in Manchester and Fleetwood. Christopher Harrison, who's 19 years old, owed money to a Manchester drugs gang and agreed to take out revenge on flight coast dealers they believed had stolen their drugs. Between October and December 2021, he visited the region on 3 separate occasions to carry out the orders for the Manchester gang. On October the 20th, him and another man, Jacob Humphreys, went to an address in Cleveland and lay in wait for their occupants. When he arrived, the men set upon him, with Harrison spraying liquid in his face and using a machete in the attack. The man thought he was being sprayed with acid, but Preston Crown Court heard it was not a noxious substance. However, the man suffered 4 stab wounds to his neck and torso, a fractured vertebrae and a punctured lung. Harrison of Worsley pleaded guilty to GBH with intent. The victim said as a result of the attack he is in constant pain and had to wind down his business. He said, "What happened that night has not only affected me, it has affected my family, my friends and my business." On November the 11th, 2021, Harrison returned to the Clevelands and targeted a house where the Manchester gang believed a member of the Fleetwood gang lived. However, at the time of the attack, a mother was home alone at the address with a 4-year-old child. The prosecutor said the woman was oblivious to what had gone on before or what was about to happen. The woman was in the kitchen with a young child was playing near the front door when she heard a bang and smelled burning plastic. She rushed to the front door of the house to discover the front door was on fire. She picked up her child and ran out of the back of the house before calling the fire brigade. The mother said the firebombing had devastated her life. She previously had a good job and a nice home but has been unable to return to work due to the anxiety. She struggles to sleep at night thinking what could have happened to her daughter. Her daughter's school reported a change in her behaviour, saying the little girl is not the same as she was and is now worried about her mum and about the fire that happened. A few weeks later, on December the 2nd, Harrison returned to the same street to strike again. However, on this occasion, he got the wrong house and set fire to the woman's adjoining neighbour's property. The occupant was out for the evening and returned home to find his house on fire. Neighbours had called the fire service and the man tried to get into his kitchen to get a fire extinguisher he had bought following the incident next door weeks earlier. However, the kitchen was just filled with smoke and he was forced to retreat. He said he had worked hard to be able to afford his own home and has lost everything that was inside the house. He now takes medication for anxiety as a result of the attack. So the judge, Philip Parry, stated that Harrison was not a member of the Manchester crime gang, but he had been pressured into carrying out the offences as he owed the gang a large drug debt. He was just 18 when he targeted that area. When Harrison was arrested, officers discovered an axe and a bottle of ammonia in his car, which the judge ordered to be fortified and destroyed. Judge Parry said Harrison was a dangerous offender but took into account his young age at the time he committed the offences. He said there is a very troubling background to these offences and it is a criminal in its nature. He said it relates to drugs and rival organised crime gangs between Fleetwood and Manchester. The suspicion being the Fleetwood gang stole nearly £2 million of drugs from the Manchester gang. The Manchester gang were angry and were seeking revenge on some of the group they believed to be responsible for taking their drugs. You were brought in by the Manchester group in order to extract revenge on those Manchester believed were responsible for taking their drugs, around £2 million. I accept that you yourself were not an embedded member of the organised crime gang, but you were brought in by them to order to carry out these offences. You agreed to do it because you were heavily in debt to them. You allowed yourself to become involved in serious criminality. Harrison had told the probation officer he had done terrible things and showed remorse for his actions, the court heard. Judge Parry sentenced him to 8 years for GBH, 5 years and 7 months for the arson at the mother's house, 4 years for the arson at the neighbour's house, and 12 months for the possession of a bladed article to run concurrently. So basically, Harrison is going to be serving 2/3 of 8 years total sentence before serving the remainder on licence. And in a news story coming from Nottinghamshire ways, 3 dealers have been jailed after police read dozens of encrypted messages between them and their suppliers. Jerome O'Connor, Javan Morris, and Abdul Aziz conspired on bringing tens of thousands of pounds worth of cocaine onto the streets of Nottinghamshire. Officers from Nottinghamshire Police tracked the gang for several months before tailing them to a deal in Suffolk and catching them red-handed on their way home. Morris had been instructed by the gang leader O'Connor to travel to Ipswich on the 9th of June 2020 to pick up consignments of cocaine. Travelling in Aziz's taxi to avoid suspicion during restrictions, they were tracked to from the deal by police. We waited until they were back in Nottinghamshire before pulling them over on the A52. Inside, officers found a supermarket bag containing nearly a kilo of cocaine, and the pair were arrested. O'Connor was detained several months later for going into hiding and denied knowing either of the two men. He also denied travelling in various cars linked to him by police, including a rental car paid for with his credit card and hired with his driving licence. Officers had previously used ANPR and mobile phone data to tie O'Connor to several trips to the same location. Other unusually brief trips were recorded to locations in Gloucestershire and Sheffield. Subsequent financial inquiries identified O'Connor, who had also sought to launder tens of thousands of pounds of criminal cash through his own bank accounts. O'Connor later pleaded guilty to possession with intent to supply Class A drugs and money laundering. He also admitted to playing the leading role in the supply of 5 kilos of cocaine and laundering more than £47,000 in cash. So appearing at Leicester Crown Court, they were jailed for 14 years and 3 months, 6 years and 3 years, and 9 months respectively. So 14 years is what O'Connor got, 6 years and 3 months is what Morris got, and Aziz got 9 months. Detective Sergeant Emma Pollard of Nottinghamshire Police said these men conspired to bring in very large amounts of illegal drugs into our communities, so we're pleased they have been held to account. They were exposed by a long and complex police investigation involving dozens of officers and staff, and I'd like to thank each one of them for their hard work and professionalism. Illegal drugs are a blight on our communities and bring misery to the lives of often vulnerable people, which is why we will continue to go after those who bring them to our streets. Although there were very clear hierarchy at playing this case with O'Connor at the top, every one of these men played a key role in a very significant drug dealing operation, and now will spend a considerable amount of time in jail as a result. She said, I hope then, as this case serves as a warning to others involved in the sale of illegal drugs, you can be as careful as you like. You can even use encrypted messaging platforms, but that doesn't mean we aren't onto you, and it doesn't mean we're not watching you every moon and planning when to strike. So it's also believed that it was identified that there was £51,000 which was put in bank accounts connected to O'Connor, money that was frozen using a restraint order, and when he was sentenced, O'Connor admitted the money belonged to him. And it's believed that now a confiscation timetable has been set to ensure all these monies and any other criminal funds are confiscated. So guys, that's a number of news stories coming out from the streets of the UK. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.